Deluge, we're gonna double check the number. Are we all gonna lose 1,000,000 life to the thingy? Oh yeah, we probably are. Are we dead? Did I just get us all killed? I hope not. Oh, this might be really bad, actually.
Today on Commander Replay, can we survive the mass life loss triggers with Saskia the Unyielding? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, there's 2 great ways to support the channel. All links are in the description below.
Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Saskia the Unyielding today, and today's deck list has been sponsored by Joe. Let's go ahead and take a look at this opener. We got 2 lands plus Sylvan Library. I feel pretty good about that. Smothering Tithe a little after that. Yeah, I think this is going to be good. Lots of powerful effects in this hand, actually. So Sylvan Library, obviously good. Smothering Tithe, very powerful. Cardur, very powerful. Chroma's Will. Very powerful. So, like, a lot of top-end power in our hand. Although that's kind of the MO of this deck. Here's what the deck looks like, and I did make a couple tweaks to this list. You'll notice there's a lot of top-end up here. A lot of 7 drops, a lot of 6 drops, a lot of 5 drops. And I actually cut maybe 2 or 3 5 drops, I think, from the original list. Okay, looks like opponents are ready to go here. So, I did take this game out for a spin previous to this game, and it didn't go all that well, and I know exactly why. That's Ashnod coming in, by the way, for Flintlock. Brings it to our turn. There's a Debtor's Knell. We'll play the Canopy Vista, and then we'll pass. Anyway, I know why it didn't work. Let me get the original list. Here's the original list. There were like 1 or 2 more 5 drops. I think an additional 6 drop. I think I kept the 7 drops the same. I think I cut a 4 drop or 2. So, like, there's just so much bulk in this deck, mana cost-wise, and not nearly enough ramp to sustain, you know, this kind of top end. Let's do a little count just for curiosity's sake. I'm coming up with about 10 pieces of mana ramp, looks like, give or take, trying to do like a quick look here. During turns, looks like it's back to our turn. And the issue with that is that for a deck that's like full of 6, 7, and 8 drops, you just need more than that. Again, you know, the best example is my Angel deck. That deck is almost entirely 7 drops. I think there are 7 drops in that deck. I run 15 to 16 pieces of ramp in that deck. And it's because you have to, right? Like, you honestly have to. And the same sort of thing is going to be true here. Now, you have access to green. I mean, you have access to 4 colors. So you can literally just cherry pick the best cards in each color. But green is very good at multi-ramp. There is a Fabro Elder in here. Stuff like that is going to be really powerful. If you have the budget, Bloom Tender is going to do the same thing. Those type of effects, anything that's producing like 3 or more mana for you is gonna be really powerful when you have a big mana curve like this. First and foremost, that's the thing that I would tackle with this deck. The second thing that I did notice playing the first game was that the deck was light on recursion. This Debtor's Knell and the 6 mana Eternal Witness, I forgot its name, were the only real things that I saw. I would get a little bit of additional recursion into the deck. If you're trying to limit the power, I would skip Eerie Ultimatum. If you wanted to go full power, Eerie Ultimatum is just going to outperform this in like every way. And that said, I love Debtor's Knell as a card. I was playing when Debtor's Knell came out, and it was such a cool, unique card at the time. I've tried to put it into a few decks here and there. It almost always tends to be too slow for its own good in Modern Commander, which is unfortunate, right? Like, you cast this on 7 mana, and if it's turn 7, someone else is probably winning the game, right? Like, as you're waiting to untap with this thing. In a lot of cases, unless a board wipe just went off. So, I love Debtor's Knell. I think it's such a cool card, but its overall playability it is lacking. Anyway, we're going to use our Sylvan Library here. More lands, you say. Should probably put, like, 1 of them back on top. We do not have a turn 3 play. Gross. That being the case, yeah, things are going to get awkward here, to be honest with you. Which one's this? 2 or more opponents? Okay, we'll put this one back on top, and we'll pay 4 life for this one. Play the Spire Garden, and we'll pass, because we have nothing to do. But anyway, yeah, a little bit more recursion in this deck is going to be a good thing, and in particular, things that get multiple creatures back. Eerie Ultimatum's going to be far and away the best one. That's a game-winning type card, but there's a lot of other options as well. Bitterhorn, this is Animus coming in. I think I undervalued this card, to be completely honest with you. Put that on my list of cards I've undervalued. Now, luckily that one hasn't been out all that long. You know, actually, we might get a pretty decent look at it here. The part that I undervalued about it is that it does come in with Living Weapon. So initially when I read it, I'm like, oh, you have to pay 6 to do the thing. I'm like, no, you only need to pay 3, which kind of splits the difference on a Sword of the Animist. So I will happily take this as a backup Sword of the Animist all day. That is a General Kudrow. Yeah, okay. Humans deck? Is that what we're doing? Looks like it. Opponent's got some attacks going. Nothing coming our way, thankfully. You know what we're missing? A board wipe. Looking at the deck list once again. So another thing I noticed is that there are 33 creatures in this deck. When you run green, you can run more creatures. Based on the way this deck's put together, I would probably cut 2 to 3, maybe as many as 5 creatures. Anywhere between 3 and 5 creatures is probably going to be... It'll help the performance of the deck. 1, because you need to get more mana ramp. 2... is that you do need things to do besides creatures. Like, as much as I love creatures, you do just need, like, protection effects and recursion and other things in your deck. Now, with 4-color, you can get a lot of those things on creatures, so that's something to consider. That's funny. So opponent plays a Viridian Longbow, puts it on their Ashnod, and then immediately shoots... Does it have Death Touch? It does have Death Touch. And then immediately shoots the General Kudrow, which dies. That is funny. Longbow isn't good for anyone. We're going to be on Smothering Tide this turn, so Longbow doesn't affect us yet. We'll see if anyone else wants to deal with that. We do have the other end. There's not a ton of removal in this deck. Removal is another thing that's important. And again, you can get it on creatures, but sometimes you just want spell-based removal also because it's more efficient, does more kind of stuff, is more powerful. The Phyrexian Arena would have been nice last turn, although I don't know that we have double black, do we? This can get us to someone have an Urborg in play. Someone has an Urborg in play, so we do have double black now. We don't need the card draw so badly as we need... Put the Temple Garden back on top. I feel good about this. And we'll pay 4 life for this one. Play the Savannah for now. Smothering Tithe. I've talked about this in other videos, but the course of this game will be greatly shaped based on whether this Smothering Tithe sticks or does not stick. It's just that kind of card. If opponents don't pay and we come back to our turn with a bunch of treasures, maybe not over the first turn cycle. The first turn cycle is good, but that second turn cycle, that's a lot of extra mana. Another real subtle thing that I noticed with this deck the last time I played it too, opponent's going to get themselves a land with the Bitterhorn there. Yeah, I think I have undervalued that card. Time to go buy some. Anyway, there is a Nature's Lore and a Farseek in the deck. Farseek I don't mind. Well, I guess they both kind of do the same thing. But the thing with this deck, because it's Saskia, because it's 4-color, because this isn't a perfect mana base, I would actually consider maybe switching those over to signets and or just adding a couple signets to the deck. I get that they're more fragile and they'll get cleaned up by austere commands and farewells and Vandal Blasts, but in the early parts of the game, you do want to make sure you have all your colors. So, you know, around turns like 3 through 5, if you're trying to get Saskia in on time, a Signet can go a long way in fixing mana colors. So, you know, there is a little bit of a trade-off there, but for a 4-color deck, you know, at least 1 or 2 of them is nice to have because of that color filtering. Also, there are some colorless lands in this deck too, and same sort of thing. I personally would add a Signet or 2 to the deck. I wouldn't add all of them. You don't need all of them in the colors, but anyway, I think I've gotten through all of that. The last time out with it, I had a pretty frustrating game, to be completely honest, and so that was me kind of voicing all my frustrations, and I think if you tweak a lot of those things, the deck will perform very well and should be pretty consistent. That being said, let's take a look at what our opponents are doing. So first up is Delta Fiend piloting Rowan, Scion of War. Haven't even seen this one yet. It's a 3-mana 4/2 with Menace. Tap it. Spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you've lost this turn. Oh, that's interesting. Only as a sorcery. So some sort of big spell life loss kind of thing would be my guess. I always get nervous when they say spell because, like, you know, Torment of Hellfire doesn't need cost reduction, nor does, like, Exsanguinate. I'd be happier if it said creature and they wanted to slam big creatures. That'd be a much cooler effect, in my opinion. Or much more of the power level that I would prefer, right? God, reading that, I mean, are there CEDH variants of this commander? Because, like, theoretically, oh no. Opponent goes to Anguish Making on our Smothering Tithe, so that's the kind of game we're going to have here. And I do think that the current ramp situation in this deck is hinged too heavily on having a Smothering Tithe or having a Dockside Extortionist. Both objectively powerful cards. If they go down or don't get the job done that you need them to do, your backup ramp is very lackluster. But yeah, back to the question, is there a CEDH variant of this commander? Because, like, theoretically, you could tap this, find a way to burn a bunch of life, I don't know, use a Necropotence or something, then just cast like an infinitely large, well, not infinite, but like a very, very large Torment of Hellfire or insert any burn spell that kills the table. That doesn't seem all that complicated to do. Be what, like 2 cards in addition to your commander? You could probably make a CEDH deck with that. Moving on, in the middle, we've got Illegal Xeno piloting, we got a partner pair. We've got Reyhan, the last Abzan, is the +1/+1 counters guy, partnered with Alharu, Solemn Ritualist. This one I haven't seen as much. Enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other creatures. Whenever a non-token creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, create a 1/1 spirit token with flying. Okay. So it's like a little bit of board wipe protection for your stuff with +1/+1 counters. Anyway, brings it back to our turn. Sylvan Library. We did thankfully get 2 treasures out of the Smothering Tithe. Maybe it's not the best. Was certainly hoping on more, but it's what we got. Oracle of Moldiah, on the other hand, is a sight for sore eyes. Here's what we do. We put a Jetmir Garden back on top, and then keep the... Actually, we can just play them both from the top, can't we? Okay, put the Temple Garden back on top also, because we don't necessarily want to burn all of our life that way. Cast the Oracle of Moldiah. That's a neat little combo. I don't know that I've had that come up before. I'm sure people that play like a lot of mono green have at some point, but yeah. Sylvan Library with Oracle of Moldiah. Set yourself up perfectly. Play a land off the top. Are we paying the life? Yes. Another land. Play it off the top. Yeah, another land. Didn't need that. Well, let's get this Phyrexian Arena in. Burn our treasures to do it. Like now, this is a much more like secure form of ramp. Oracle of Moldiah in today's day and age, man. 5 years ago, I would spend like a swords or a path on this thing because they would just run away with value. But today's day and age, I don't know that I would. As good as it is, there are so many worse things to save that swords or path for. It sort of depends on the situation. If it's like a lands deck, maybe, right? But if it's just kind of like they run one out there for value, probably not. You kind of just hope that like it gets caught up in a board wipe at some point. Surprisingly, we've drawn very few creatures relative to the large number of creatures in the deck. So I was thinking about maybe cycling that one land, but we'll see how our next turn goes here. Rowan, coming our way. Yeah, well, we're not blocking. Bet it would throw him off if we did, though. But yeah, Oracle's way too powerful for that. Anyway, finishing up on Xeno's deck. It looks like a humans deck with +1/+1 counters, so it'll be cool if he's doing like double theme like that. And there are enough humans. I mean, it's the most popular tribe, as I recall. Someone I think I did a gatherer search. God, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think at that point there were like 2,200 humans, so I don't know, add probably a few hundred to that with the amount of cards printed over the past few years. I would guess you're looking at probably 2,500 humans in the game at least, so yeah, that's cool. I like that. I'm interested to see where this deck goes. Also, of note, I've been playing a lot of +1/+1 counter decks lately, which is not something I really did a lot in the first, 6 years of this channel and 10, 11 years of playing Commander. I played them like here and there, but like they were never really my bread and butter, and now I love that Boros +1/+1 counter deck, and I had a lot of fun with Hilda. It was a really cool +1/+1 counter deck. So it's a thing that I've been doing more. That Calamax deck, kind of a +1/+1 counter deck also. Still need to build that one in paper, though I haven't really been playing much in paper, so I don't know if it's worth the expense at the moment. But we have one more opponent, by the way. That is Sergeant Flintlock piloting Ashnod, Flesh Mercanist. 1 mana 1/1, has Death Touch. When it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a tapped Power Stone token. Those things can get pretty powerful. Is that 3 or 5? I can't see. My eyes are still messed up after pay some amount of mana. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Create a tapped 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token. I've seen this 1 or 2 times before. I know Power Stones can be pretty powerful in the right setting. Looks like right now they're just doing the Death Touch thing with this Viridian Longbow, that's a thing I've done on this channel. It's a fun thing to do. When I originally played Tetzamach, I basically built it as a Death Touch deck, and you just get these sort of things, and you can repeatedly shoot all the creatures on the board, and it's fantastic. If they shoot our Oracle, I'm definitely shooting the Longbow. If not, as long as we don't play the most powerful thing on board, then this is a nice safety valve. And so, all right, here's a bit of strategy. This comes up with my tap creature tribal deck. So when you see something like this, yes, this is scary because they can shoot a creature every turn. However, they can only shoot 1 creature every turn. So if you don't have the scariest creature and you're not attacking, well, there we go. So that's been solved. They shot our Oracle Moldiah. Makes me sad. And given our amount of card draw, that probably makes sense. I mean, on the other hand now, if we just don't, we can cast the Debtor's Knell. This might be the perfect game for Debtor's Knell, although I would love to see a board wipe go off. We've ramped enough and this game is going slow enough that I think there's going to be time for this Debtor's Knell. Anyway, yes, Tap Creature Tribal does things exactly like this a lot. You cast a Visara, you cast Avatar of Woe, Kamal, and you can shoot something every turn. Now with that deck, there are more untaps, So sometimes it's 2 things a turn, or, you know. The second, a lot of times, like as soon as I get a Visara down or something like that, someone will shoot it. Then, you know, the person playing the creature deck, probably the green deck, just kind of overruns the table. And it's like, bro, I could have solved those problems at the table if you just let this live, right? Like, if it's not threatening you, because like, and with this stuff, you can get really political, right? Which is cool, right? It adds a lot of nuance to the game. But yeah, stuff like this is an important safety valve for someone not running away with the game. And so, as much as I want to shoot this out of spite right now, the better play for us is to just drop the Debtor's Knell. Now, at some point, it may need to get shot. Like, we may think about trying to get the best creatures on the battlefield, and there are some really good creatures in this deck. Our top end is probably more powerful than our opponent's top end, so that is a thing to consider. Use the library. Liesa is cool. Liesa is definitely not going to survive that thing, though. Probably not ever going to get to the Liesa, sadly. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we just put everything back on top. So we already have a land, and we have 2 shuffles anyway, so I think we get the shuffling. Oh, hey, we keep the Liesa. Love it. Okay, play the Verdant Catacombs, play the Cultivate. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, God. Well, yeah, I definitely wanted to play the Debtor's Knell right there. Whoops, I got distracted. Get a Swamp and a Plains, I guess. One into play. You know, we could probably cast Saskia and not get it shot. The other option would be sitting on the other end. I don't know, we'll just choose Delta Fiend. If they're going to use their life as a resource, us taking more of their life seems like it might be a good idea. We don't have any good attacks anywhere. Is that one attack? Yeah, that one can block. No good attacks anywhere, so we're just going to chill for now. But we'll just kind of hold it over their head. Since I messed up the Debtor's Knell play, which hopefully that doesn't bite us, because with all the lands we've been seeing, getting that Oracle back would be super strong. Yeah, there we go. So they're going to shoot the Defiler of Flesh right now, and that's the one that gives all the creatures... Oh, okay, now we can attack. Hey, how about that? Delta Fiend. Teamwork makes the dream work. Anyway, I've been wanting to play with this cycle, and I just, haven't. I guess I just haven't been playing as much this year, but this is the cycle that gives a certain color Phyrexian mana. And the extra effect on this one is whenever you cast a black permanent spell, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and menace until end of turn. Yeah, seems cool. Vampiric Tutor into a Saskia. That's on the upkeep. Let's see how bad this gets. I will not be thrilled if it's just like big Torment of Hellfire or insert burn spell. They may need a new setup piece now that other thing's gone. Yep, they activate the thing. Soul Channeling, what? Oh. Pay 2 life for generate enchanted creature. That's a spicy card for that deck. Is that better or worse than... Yeah, because I guess regenerate it can get bounced, it can get toxic deluged. So you're, I would say 9 times out of 10, you're better off with a... I'm trying to compare this to what's that, Molecule Rebirth, any of those cheat death, reanimate kind of things in black. But yeah, regenerate is so narrow that I don't think this replaces any of those. Obviously for this deck it's in there for the pay life mechanic, but I was just trying to run the math. I'm like, is this something that you could use somewhere else? And 10 years ago, sure, it's probably gonna be much better than it is today, but now there's just so many ways a creature can die. There's sacrifice effects and deluge and rift, and opponent does play a Vandal Blast and take care of that Viridian Longbow for us, so that's nice in that we didn't have to spend the utter end, and basically each player lost a thing, right? And so, like I said, stuff like that can be an important safety valve in keeping people from just running away with the game. Horn of Gondor. Enter the battlefield, make a human. Agent of the Iron Throne. Commander creatures you control have whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Ugh, I hate those effects. I told opponents that I just spent a significant amount of time talking about the nuances of Longbow and Death Touch, and Zeno said, I'm glad that nuance is in the graveyard. Yeah, that's pretty good. Thieving Amalgam. Was that in this deck? It was in a deck I played recently. Maybe it was this one. I would love to be able to cast the Debtor's Knell and find a second play to make this turn. The good news is each opponent has 2 cards left in their hand, which is just not a lot of cards left, so pretty good feeling that Debtor's Knell should be able to stick. Especially that Longbow is a good check. If you're not super patient against something like that, that's an easy place to spend removal. We are also getting to a point where just dropping Cardoor will be a nightmare for our opponents. Damage flying every which way. There's a Thieving Amalgam trigger. Land True Conviction. Man... not drawing what we want to draw here. Use the Sylvan Library ability. Deluge seems like a real good idea. Put a land back on top. Put True Conviction. How much mana are we gonna have? It'll be 9. We'll still be 1 short on the Debtor's Knell. Disappointing. That being the case, we go True Conviction, Toxic Deluge, I think. Pay 4 life to keep life planes. Slam this True Conviction. Where to attack? feel like most people probably just block it with something, so we're probably not getting the double strike hit. It'd be pretty mean to go into Delta. I mean, they would just throw the token in front. We'll take a little check over on Flintlock, see how they're feeling about things. I'm sure they just throw a token in front, though. They're gonna throw the Indestructible in front. That's actually doesn't bother me at all. That's even better because we're gonna get 2 hits off and gain that life back, which I like. Saskia does die. The board wipe's about to go off. Debtor's Knell is any graveyard, I think. Yeah, any graveyard. So I'm gonna go to the command zone with Saskia. Back to 25, countering some of our life loss. I appreciate that. Deluge, we're gonna double check the number. Oh, that's got 7 toughness. That's gonna be a bit. Yeah, Deluge it up. Well, it's gonna make a 1/1. Are we all gonna lose 1,000,000 life to the thingy? Oh yeah, we probably are. Are we dead? Did I just get us all killed? I hope not. Oh, this might be really bad, actually. This might be really bad. Anyway, while opponents are trying to situate the stack here, we're witnessing the exact issue that I saw in the first game, is that like we have such big, bulky cards that you just need loads and loads of ramp to play. We've been stuck trying to get this Debtor's Knell in. I messed up the turn that I was supposed to get it. Though, in retrospect, getting the Cultivate is not the worst idea, because like we need to ramp so badly. On the other hand, if we got the Oracle back, that would have ramped us equally well. And we would already have this 7-mana chunker out of the way. Oh, man. Someone's making zombies. That's not good. Our life total is going to be really low. We might just die. Pretty sure I'm dead after all these triggers. So we would have needed to utter end the background first to not get crushed. Yeah, these type of effects are like just super overpowered. The Aristocrats effect. Really anything that says like damages each opponent, because it's a multiplier of 3, right? Ugh. Hate Aristocrats. Well, yep, we died. That's unfortunate. Exact 0 also. We had, like, not drawn a card. I guess on the other hand, though, like, so opponent will untap with all these tokens before we would have had a turn, so even if we were at, like, 4 life or something, someone's just gonna kill us with all these tokens, but I have Vecna. Rowan back to play. We can tack over to Flintlock in the air. All 2/2 flyers now. When it or another human enters battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 in vigilance until end of turn, so yeah, pumping the flyers. Flintlock down to 10. Ashnod and Sanitarium Skeleton into play. Grave Pact. Good game. They don't have a sack outlet yet, I don't think. They can sacrifice 1 when they attack. Big attack back into Xeno. I wouldn't recommend blocking. Are we trying to get everything on board killed? Is that what's happening? There's some Grave Pact triggers. Cleans out the board. Bolus's Citadel. It's not a board wipe, though. Ambitions cost. Down to 2. Austere Command. Enchantments and small creatures. It was an enchantment. Yeah, that one's an artifact. Well, I'd hoped that this game was going to end quickly, and now it's probably not going to. Lithiform Engine. Sanitarium Skeleton coming back. I have Vecna. They can't pay it, because if they do, they die. Villas. So they have all the life loss stuff, but they need to gain a lot of life first before they can really, like, use any of it. Though an 8/8 in the air does get things done. What's frustrating about this game is that, like, we had so many powerful enchantments in. Yeah, that might be a thing to look at. There might be too many enchantments in this deck, honestly. Yeah, we had so many powerful enchantments in, and, like, still just couldn't get that much done. And, like, I get it. I misplayed twice. Both to pretty big effect. They were not small misplays, and I get that. If we shoot the thing before we board wipe, then we're probably in an okay spot in that we have all those powerful enchantments. We have a pretty good amount of mana, and although those enchantments would have got cleaned up at some point, that austere command. Skull Clamp, Esper Sentinel triggers. Copy it, sure. Put 2 Skull Clamps on the skeleton, swing it into Delta. That's what I would do. Equip 1. Oh, it'll die if he equips the other. Equip the other. I'd still take it for the draw 4. There's the draw 4. Shadows of the Past. Whenever a creature dies, scry 1. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Activate if there are only 4 more creature cards in your graveyard. Well, that'll be scary for Delta. Does he have 4 creatures? 3 creatures currently. Shouldn't be all that difficult to find a 4th. Drain life. There you go. That's how you gain some life. X5. Into Xeno's face. Up to 7. Verge Rangers. Card that I thought would be good, and it's kind of underperformed. I guess they've also released so much product in the last, 3 years that basically anything that's not insanely powerful gets outclassed by something else that's released, a month or 2 later. Court of Garenbrig. They become the mono. But yeah, mono white decks would have killed to have this 6 or 7 years ago. The problem too with mono white ramp is that if you have the most lands, all of your ramp gets shut off. So this is not like an Oracle of Moldiah where you just keep playing more lands. This becomes ineffective at some point, and that is a very limiting factor in mono white ramp. Sanitarium Skeleton's back. Braid's Arisen Nightmare. Bloodghast. There's a fun card. Haven't seen that one in a while. It has haste. Probably more of a Skull Clamp target than anything though. This was such a cool card in Standard, and that was a cool card in Commander for a long time. I think now, you'll see it in these Aristocrat decks occasionally. You'll see it in Vampire decks. I don't know that you see it a ton of places outside of that anymore, but this was a uniquely cool card when it came out. Opponent gonna shoot some stuff and draw some cards. Yep. Delta might be able to win if they just find a big spell. Life totals are getting low. And they're drawing a lot of cards. They're going to look at a lot of cards this turn cycle. Shadows of the Past. Opponent gets to scry one. Back to Delta's turn. I have Vecna Trigger. They could go to 1. They stay at 3. Cut deals 4 damage to a creature. Oh, there's a burn spell on the back half of that. Is it good enough to win the game? It's probably good enough to kill Flintlock. Oh, their commander's not in. How much life do they lose this turn? 2? So that wouldn't... The cost reduction there wouldn't work itself out, but they still have an 8/8 in play. So yeah, if you just tap out everything for ribbons and then slam this into Xeno, that might be enough. It's going to be close. You know, for having Bitterhorn all game, I'm surprised that they don't have more lands. There's ribbons X6, so not going to be good enough to kill both. In striking distance of Flintlock now. Elixir of Immortality, nice. And has exactly enough to activate it. That's important. Activates it, which does potentially give them access to a spell off the top of their deck. They know what it is, but it looks like we're going into combat here. Oh, they stay back. Man, that's such a tricky play. So... maybe you just need to plan the turn better is probably what needs to happen, says the guy who got himself killed. I don't know what's on top of the balls of Citadel, right? Like, that's such a big thing. Okay, this goes up to a 10-10. All right, I see what they're doing. Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense then. Because I'm like, my initial thinking was kill Flintlock, take your chances with Xeno, but I hadn't actually read this, and this thing is giant now, so... yeah, that blocker is important. Okay, I see what's going on. Eternal Thirst has lifelink. Ooh, lifelink going to be good this stage of the game. Yeah, 10 coming into Delta. They have to block. Yeah, they block. Oh, they got Nether Trader in the graveyard too. Are we going to see the Bloodghast Nether Trader kill? That would be pretty cool, actually. Creature dies, things trigger. Bloodghast is a real Magic card. Delta should be able to be eliminated now. Question is, how do you deal with this thing? Swift End is how you deal with that. And there's an extort trigger. They extort. Yes, they have lethal right here on Delta. Got 12 mana to his name. What do you do with it? Casts an Erebos Intervention. What does this one do? Kill a creature, you gain a bunch of life. Okay. That creature happens to be a 12/12, and they're going to double it, so it'll get it for 16. That's a big power play, is what that is. Flintlock should be able to win this game. He's spreading the damage? Flintlock, what are you doing? Unless there's another life loss somewhere. Oh, it takes the Monarch. Okay, more card draw. Oh, can he sacrifice? Yeah, okay. I see. I didn't actually read Braids. There's like a huge block of text right there. But it says lose 2 life, is what it says. So Delta goes down. Shadows of the Past, Nether Trader, excuse me. Xeno's gonna need something big. A Farewell would be massive. If it's not a Farewell, it's gonna need to be something pretty nasty. There's a lot of like value assembled over here. Double Skull Clamp, you can get a lot done with that. Especially with like Bloodghast and Nether Trader, all those recursion creatures in black. Grand Abolisher. Recast Alharu. It gives them some blocking. Opponent's got 7 cards there. I mean, they can just sit there and like Cryptcast everything to death with Extort. Especially this late in the game with a lot of swamps. Yep. Plays a land, gets back to Bloodghast. Grave Titan is a card. Copy the Grave Titan. This is board wipe or bust territory. And then the issue becomes that you have to exile their graveyard also. Light and Shadow. Many zombies in play. Here comes some attacks. Opponent doesn't have any blocks. Let's see what opponent's got. Nope. Yeah, they got nothing. Yeah, it's like you basically Farewell. Maybe an Ugin. Get you out of that. They had a land Cultivate. Anyway, we'll take another look at this deck at some point in the future. But yeah, there's a lot of changes that I'd definitely make to get it to smooth it out. Because it hasn't been a smooth operator trying to play this thing. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the game. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.
I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel or vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.